Okay, November 2015 paper 1. You can see the grade boundaries there. You needed to get 60, 120 on both papers in order to get a grade C, so you're looking at 60 averaging on each paper. So, question 1. Write down in figures the number 2,031,004. So if we work from the units back, 4 and 4, there's no 100 there either, 1,004, 31,004, and then we got nothing then until the million, so that's the 10,000s, 100,000s, 2 million, no 100,000, no hundreds, 31,004 is what you're looking for. And with this one, we've got 5 and 5, 305, 1,305, 81,305. And make sure that you're using all words. Using only the numbers in the following list, write down two numbers that add up to 60. So you're looking for the units that will combine to give a 0 carry 1 or a 0. So 4 and 6 are 10. So 24 and 36, just to check, 60. So 24 and 36. When you're looking for numbers that differ by 28, probably the easiest way of doing it is adding 28 to each of these numbers until you find one of the other numbers. So if you add 28 to that, you get 52, which isn't there. If you add 28 to this one, you get 69, which isn't there. That's the biggest number, so it won't be that one. If you add 36 and 28, you get 50, 64, which isn't there. If you add 28 to 46, you get a number in the 70s. If you add 28 to 18, you get 46. So the numbers that will differ by 28 are those two. So 46 and 18. And a multiple of 7, you've got to go through your 7 times table, and you will get 7 nines is 63. Writing this number correct to the nearest 10, the 2 is in the tens column, so you're either going to be 4,520 or 4,530 to the nearest 10. Because that's only 3, it's nearer to 20, so 4, 5, 2, 0. Correct to the nearest 1,000, the 4 is in the thousands column, so your answer is either going to be 4,000 or 5,000. Because it's over 500, it's closer to 5,000. All the factors of 15 are all the numbers that divide exactly into 15. So you've got 1 and 15, and you've got 3 and 5, and that's it. Theo uses each of the digits 5, 7, 2 and 6 once and once only to make 4-digit numbers. What is the smallest number that he can make? So for it to be the smallest, you want the smallest digit in the place with the highest place value. So you want the 2 in the thousands, and then you want to have it going in ascending order. So 2, then 5, then 6, then 7 would be the smallest. To make the largest, you would write it the other way around. So the largest number would be 7, 6, 5, 2. To make the largest odd number, then you would just switch the 2 digits around to make the odd value, the odd digit, go there. So to make it odd, it would become 7, 6, 2, 5 would be the largest. Okay, so marks for that. They're all worth 1 apart from factors question, and there you would get 1 mark, 2 marks if they're all right, 1 mark if you've got none wrong but left one out, or you've got them all there and you made one mistake, and then 1 and 1 there. Okay, question 2. Write down the next term in each of the following sequences. You're looking to see, first of all, if they're increasing, then it's either being added or multiplied, and if they're decreasing, it's either being subtracted or divided. With this one, that's going up in 8s, in 8s, in 8s, so we're adding 8, so the next term will be 47. This one's going down, but you can see it's going down by a different amount each time, so it's not a subtract, so it's a divide. 9 divided by 3 is 3, 27 divided by 3 is 9, 81 divided by 3 is 27. So it's a divide by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1. Write down a number greater than 5,000 in which the hundreds digit is 4. So 5,400 and anything is going to satisfy that. So 5,432 will give you the right answer. Any value there, as long as it's bigger than 5 and so long as the hundredths digit is a 4. Okay, write 3/25ths as a decimal. Well, probably the easiest way to do that is if you know that what that's going to be out of 100, so timesing that by 4 would make that 12 out of 100. That will give you 0.12 as a decimal. Okay, so turn it into a fraction out of 100 by, what have I got to multiply 25 by to get 100? Times it by 4, got to times the top by 4, which is 12, so as a decimal it's 0.12. 13% is 0.13. So in ascending order, the smallest is going to be 0.12, which is 3/25ths. Then is going to come 0.13, which is 13%, and finally 0.2, which is the same as 0.20, is the largest. So ascending is going from smallest to largest. Showing all your working, find an estimate, so that's a key word there, for the value of 303 divided by 4.8. So we're going to do 300 divided by 5. So you're showing your method, you get a mark for that, and then 5 goes into 3, doesn't, 5 goes into 30 6 times, so my estimate is 60. So for that question, 1 mark for each of those. For this one, you get 1 mark for any number with the 4 in the right place, and 2 marks for any number bigger than 5,000. And with this one, you get 1 mark for each of those and 1 mark for the correct order. And finally, with your estimate, 1 mark for the correct method of rounding that, and 1 mark for a correct answer. Okay, question 3. So this is the written communication question. You've got to go out of your way to explain what you're doing in order to get the 6 marks. 4 marks for the maths, 2 marks for setting out your work logically. So a computer technician takes 45 minutes to service a computer. She charges using the following formula. Charge is 30 times the number of hours worked. So that's the first thing to be careful of. We've got minutes there and hours there, plus the total cost of parts. Calculate the charge for servicing 8 computers when the total cost of parts was £65. So the first thing we need to do is to see how many hours it's going to take her to service 8 computers. So time taken to service computers will be 8 times, and then if we think 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour, then hopefully we can see that that's going to be 6 hours work. Yeah, 4 goes into 8 twice, 2 times 3 is 6 hours. Okay, so 8 lots of 3/4 of an hour, you can actually put down here 45 minutes equals 3/4 of an hour, because that's helping explain as well where that's come from. So now the charge would be 30 times number of hours worked 6 plus the total cost of the parts is 65. 30 lots of 6 is 180 plus the 65. 180 plus 65 is 245 pounds. So the 6 marks for that. You've got a method mark for the 8 times 3/4 of an hour and an answer mark for the 6 hours, and then a method mark for substituting in and an accuracy answer mark for that, and then your communication 2 marks are for just really straightforward with this one, showing the 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour, time taken, so the charge is that. So not a great deal you can write for that one. Okay, so we're into the F grade questions. Choose the best expression from those given below to complete the following sentences. It is certain that the sun will set tonight. That's definitely going to happen. When a fair coin is tossed, it's an even chance, it's equally likely that you're going to get a tail or a head. Score total of 1 when 2 dice is thrown. Well, the smallest score you can get when 2 dice are thrown is 2 if it comes up 1-1. So it's impossible to get a score of 1. And it's going to be unlikely that you'll win that top prize. So 1 mark for each of those. Simplify. 6x, take away 4x is 2x, plus 1x is 3x. Now when you're substituting into a formula, it's important that you remember that in algebra a number and a letter are joined by a times, but we don't write it in because it confuses with an x. But as soon as we replace that letter with a number, we have to put that in. So p will equal 5 times a, which is 7, take away 6 times b, which is 4. Then you do your multiplications. 5 7s are 35, take away 24 equals 11. The x and y values of the coordinates of the points 4, 7, 5, 8, 6, 9, x, y all follow the same rule. Write down a rule connecting x and y. So what is happening to that to make that, and the same rule must apply for the other pairs. So hopefully you can see it's adding 3. So 7 is 4 add 3, 8 is 5 add 3, 9 is 6 add 3, y is x add 3. Okay, straightforward, one single step equation. The 3 and the y are joined by a times, so to get rid of the times by 3 I've got to divide by 3. If I divide that by 3 I have to do the same to the other side. So y will be 24. In algebra we write divide like that. 24 divided by 3 is 8. With this one, to get the x on its own, I've got to get rid of a take 4. Opposite of taking 4 is adding 4. So x is 15. If n represents any whole number, What is the special name of the numbers represented by 2n? So if n was 1, 2n would be 2. If n was 4, 2n would be 8. If n was 5, 2n would be 10. Because we're doubling, every number that we get out is an even number. Because we're doubling, the numbers are even. So what they're looking for there is even numbers. Okay, so marks for that question. 1 for that. 1 for substituting in. 1 mark for getting the answer. With C, one mark, 2 marks if you write it like that. If you just said adding 3, you'd only get 1 mark. 1 mark for that, 1 mark for that, and 1 mark for that. Question 6. On the squared paper below, plot the points A to 1. Okay, so with coordinates, you need to remember that the first number in the bracket is always the x direction, and the second one is always the y direction. So x goes across, y moves up and down. So 2, 1, you go across 2, up 1. And mark a cross there and right next to it, so it's clear to the examiner exactly where you're plotting that point. B, -3, so we're going to cross in this direction and down 5. So B will be there, and C, +4, -3. There. So 1 mark for each of those. Question 7. Kitchen cupboards of the same height can be bought in different widths. The possible widths of the cupboards are shown in the table. Okay, so these are given millimeters. So we've got 600, 900, 900, 600, 300. So that's the total length is going to be 900, 1800, 2000. What have I got there? 2700, and another 600 is 3300 millimeters. And then they want your answer in meters, so you need to know 1 meter is 1000 millimeters. Okay, and if you can't remember the relationship, hopefully you can see here on your on your ruler, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So there's 100 centimeters in a meter, so there's going to be 1000 millimeters. So you need to divide that by 1000 to turn it into meters. When you divide it by 1000, you end up with 3.3 meters. So you get 1 mark for adding them up and getting it in millimeters, 1 mark for correctly turning it into meters. Sorry, they're B marks. There's no method there. Okay, so then we're still on this question with the kitchen units. So what this one is saying then is, here's a wall of Susan's kitchen. She wants to put cupboards along this wall. She wants to fill as much space as possible. Describe 2 ways that Susan could do this, where the selection of cupboards is different. So we want to get a combination of those cupboards to get as close as we can to 3930. So that arrangement there is 3300. If we had 3 9s are 27, so you could get 3 900s in there, and then 27 600, so that would be 3,600. If we had so if we went 600 times 3, 600 times 6 would be 3,600, and then we could add another 300 onto that. Would be 3,900. So you could get 6 So we got 6 600mm cupboards and 1 300, and then you couldn't get more than that. Or we could get so that's one way. Another way we could get 4 900 cupboards, which is 36 again, plus another 300. So 6 600s plus a 300, or 4 900s plus a 300 will get you that. We can't fill it because we're never going to be able to get fill a 30mm gap, because they're all in multiples of 100, and that's a 10. So you can't fill a 30mm gap as all units come in 100 widths. We'll do that. Okay, so for that one, you're going to have a strategy mark for the way that you're working it out, then a mark for each of the alternatives that you come up with, and some way of explaining that you're not going to be able to fill that 30mm gap. Okay, number 8. Sam keeps turkeys in a rectangular enclosure measuring 35 by 41. Calculate the area. So the area is length times width, so you need to have a strategy for multiplying two numbers together without a calculator. This is probably the most reliable method. 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 1 is 5, which you would write as 0, 5, 3 4s are 12, 1 3 is 3. Then you add up your diagonals. 5, this diagonal 3, this diagonal 4, this diagonal 1, and your answer you read off in that direction. So it's 1 4 3 5. Sam would like to allow 10 square meters for each turkey. It's a maximum number of turkeys Sam should have. So we're going to divide that by 10. When you divide that by 10, the decimal point, which is there, shifts, the number shifts, so you end up with 143.5, so no more than 143 turkeys, because 144 would take up too much space. So correct method for multiplying, and your answer, and a correct answer of 143 turkeys there. Sam also has this field. He wants to fence all the way around the field. He has 250 meters of fencing. Does Sam have enough? So we need to work out the perimeter of that shape, and we've got these two sides which we need to complete. So if that is 45 all the way across, it's 20 from there, so that distance there is 25, and this distance here is going to be 34. So the perimeter of the shape is going to be 20 plus 64 plus 45 plus 34 plus 25 plus 30. So you're showing that you worked out the missing sides, you're showing how you're working out the total distance. So even if you get the addition wrong, you're still going to earn credit here. So we have got 20, 84, 84, 129, 129, 163, 163, 188, 188, 218. And the units will be meters. So that's how much fencing he requires. He's got 250, so he's got enough. So now you've got to work out how much left over, which will be 250 less 218. So we've got to borrow from there 2, 3, 32 meters left over. Okay, so the marks for that question, you've got 1 mark for the missing sides, then you've got a method mark for adding up, and an answer mark for working out the total perimeter, and 1 mark for the mark that's left over. Question 9. Brian makes bracelets and necklaces. He threads small and large beads onto a chain. Table below shows some information about the number of beads he uses. Brian uses the same ratio of small and large beads for each bracelet and each necklace. Complete the table. Okay, so if the ratio is the same, then whatever this total has been multiplied up by, these will be multiplied by the same thing. So hopefully you can see that that's been multiplied by 5. So to work out these here, you would multiply by 5 as well. So 5 12s are 60. 18 times 5, if you're not sure, work it out. 5 8s are 40, 90. And 90 at 60 is 150. The table below shows the cost of materials. The shop buys 100 bracelets from Brian. Brian makes a 70% profit on the cost of his materials. Work out the total amount that the shop pays Brian for the bracelets. So first of all, we need to work out the cost of 1 bracelet. So 1 bracelet will be 18 small beads, so 18 lots of 5, plus 12 large beads, 12 lots of 10, and a bracelet chain which is 80 pence. So 18 lots of 5 we've worked out is 90 pence. That's 120 pence, and that's 80 pence. So one bracelet is going to cost £2.90. So 100 bracelets will be £290. We've then got to work out what 70% of that is. So 70% is going to be 70 written as a fraction times 290. That is the same as 7 lots of 29. Seven nines is 63, 14, 203. So that's how much profit. So the total cost would be the 290 plus the 203, which is £493. So that's quite a tricky one. First of all, you've got to work out the cost of one bracelet. Is switching between pence and pounds. Then you've got to multiply that by 100 because you've got 100 bracelets. Then you've got to work out 70% profit, and then you've got to add the two together. So it's quite a lot of work for those 6 marks. So you've got 2 method marks for working those out and an answer for £2.90. You've then got a method mark for working out your profit and an answer for the 203, and then a final answer for £493. Okay, so if we get this one right, we've got our grade C. So A and B are 2 rescue centres shown on a map with a scale of 1 centimetre equals 5 kilometres. So I've reduced the size on this page, so it'll be slightly different if you've got the full size page that you're working with. But on this reduced one, measure and find the straight line distance from A to B. So from A to B on mine, we've got 8.8 centimetres. So AB is 8.8 centimetres, and then I'm going to multiply it by 5 to turn it into kilometres. 5 eighths are 40, 5 eighths are 40, and a 4. One number after the decimal point. So AB is 44 kilometres. Like I said, on the full-sized one, it would be slightly different to that. Well, it would be different. A monument is on a bearing of 136 from A and on a bearing of 219 from B. So 136 from A. With bearings, you need to remember that you're always lining up 0 with north, and you're always measuring in a clockwise direction. So you line 0 up with north and then you count clockwise. So 136 degrees comes around to there. So that's 136 degrees from A. And 219 from B. So again, line the 0 up with north, you're coming around in this direction to 219, which is there. And where the two lines meet, which is there, is where they cross. So 6 marks for that question. 1 mark for measuring it in centimeters. 1 mark for multiplying by 5. 1 mark for a correct answer. And then for this, it's 1 mark for the 219, 1 mark for the 136, and 1 mark for the point M. So there you go, we get that far, we've got a grade C.